Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this re-recording of our webinar on how to calculate the return on investment of IT process automation. My name is Guy Nadivi, and I will be your host / instructor for this webinar that will demonstrate how to calculate the ROI of IT process automation. And first, we'll start with a little bit of background about us. Our company name is Ayehu. We are a leading innovator of IT process automation software, and we were founded in 2007. We are headquartered in New Jersey, and they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and that was certainly true in our case because our IT process automation solution was a concept that was born out of a real customer need. And our product was ready for launch in 2009, and today our flagship product is eyeShare IT Process Automation, and the current version is 4.6.1. Now, how can you be confident that we know what we're talking about when it comes to calculating the ROI of IT process automation? Well, the answer, my friends, is not blowing in the wind, as Bob Dylan once sang. The answer is that we know how to calculate the ROI of IT process automation because we've been figuring it out with our customers for years now, some of whom you can see on the screen. As I mentioned, we've been doing IT process automation since 2007, and that makes us a pioneer in this field. So we not only had a head start in answering this question, but also in knowing to ask it in the first place. So why are we doing this webinar? Well, we decided to put on this webinar because we talk to a lot of people who say that intuitively, IT process automation makes a lot of sense to them, and they can clearly see that this is the direction that the industry is going in. But they're not sure how to justify it from an ROI standpoint. So we're going to show you how to calculate the ROI of IT process automation. More importantly, we're going to show you the formulas that you can use to calculate ROI in your own environment, and which we've distilled from many years of working with our customers to determine what IT process automation accomplished for their real-world environments. Now, you may not have gotten the memo, but once we share these tightly guarded ROI formulas with you, you'll need to keep them a secret. Just kidding. You're welcome to share them with anyone and everyone you know, and even provide us with some feedback if you think that they can be improved. Okay, today's webinar is going to focus on 4 ROI formulas. The first one is task automation. This is the monetary value of freed up time for IT personnel. IT process automation eliminates the need for a lot of manual tasks, and applying this formula to each task that you automate will help you figure out the annual savings per task. Another formula is for calculating downtime reduction. Downtime costs your organization both in productivity and in business losses, so reducing or avoiding downtime altogether yields big savings in avoided outage time. This formula determines how much you save from that. Mean time to resolution, or MTTR for shorthand. How long, on average, does it take you to restore a system to its operational state after a failure? Minimizing that time with IT process automation can yield some of the biggest quantifiable savings for an organization. And last but not least, let's also assign a value, monetary or otherwise, to benefits which are valuable but difficult to measure, and we'll just refer to those as soft ROI. Okay, we're going to go ahead and dive into the first one, and that's calculating task automation savings. Automating IT tasks will immediately increase the productivity of your IT staff and speed up delivery and SLAs. So instead of spending time configuring servers, freeing up disk space on servers, resetting passwords for Active Directory users, restarting services, etc., IT personnel are freed up to focus on more important and higher value work. And please note that savings from IT process automation are incremental. So if you automate a 20-minute task, that may seem insignificant, but your perspective will quickly change when you realize the task is performed 10 times a day, and there's hundreds of those tasks performed on a weekly basis. So here is the basic formula for figuring out the task automation savings from IT process automation, we start with the first variable, which is time spent on a single manual task. And you take that and you multiply it by the frequency of performing that task per month. Multiply that by your cost per hour. This is, of course, your cost of labor. And it has to incorporate, whether it's a salaried employee or a contractor, the benefits that they get as well. So, healthcare, insurance, et cetera, all that. And then take that and multiply it out by 12 months. And this very simple multiplication formula yields your yearly savings. Let's do an example. Let's say that we're going to automate the task of server maintenance, which we currently spend 5 hours on typically every time we do it. Then we take the 5 hours and we multiply it by the fact that we do it 4 times a month, basically once a week. It's regularly scheduled server maintenance, and we do it every week. And we multiply that out by our cost per hour. We'll say $75 is our cost of the labor that we employ to do the server maintenance task. And we multiply that out by 12, and that means that if we can automate this one task, we've saved ourselves $18,000 per year. Not too bad. Okay, now, at this point, you may be wondering, which tasks can you automate that would yield these kinds of savings? Well, there's literally thousands of tasks that any data center or network operations center can automate. But here are the 10 most popular tasks that our customers automate. Number 1, password resets and unlocking accounts. In some cases, as much as 40% of your IT support personnel's workload is comprised of this simple task, which is almost universally handled manually. By the way, the Burton Group, which is now part of Gartner, estimates that password management costs companies $250 per user per year. Add up those charges for your own environment and imagine how much of an impact eliminating that cost would have on your organization's bottom line. Freeing up server disk space. One of the most frequent causes of unscheduled downtime for applications are critical disk space shortfalls. In fact, insufficient disk space on one of your SQL servers, IIS applications, or Exchange server can be more disruptive than any other system or network failure. Automating this task is a must. Shutting down remote computers. This one is all about reducing energy consumption and cutting IT operational costs. Automating the process of putting all network-connected idle computers or servers on standby mode saved one of our customers, a large bank, over $2,000 per day. That's nearly $750,000 over the course of a year. How about that for ROI? And I'll go through the rest of the top 10 list kind of quickly so we can move on to the next formula. But here they are, and every one of them is a great candidate for automation in just about any environment. Monitoring files and folders, restarting Windows services, automating SQL queries, changing service account passwords, a very popular one, monitoring Windows event logs, automating VMware tasks, another very popular use of IT process automation, and, of course, the incident escalation process. Automating that is a very unique way of using IT process automation. Okay, next, we're going to calculate downtime savings. So the cost of system downtime obviously varies from company to company based on industry, SLAs, et cetera. But downtime costs depend, in all cases, on 2 primary factors: productivity losses and business losses. And IT process automation can help you reduce both. It can help in the form of preventative maintenance. So scheduling processes that run regularly, like cleaning up a server hard drive or updating critical patches or checking backup logs to maintain system health. Doing that regularly with automation helps reduce downtime. Auto remediation, so automatically triggering workflow processes to handle critical events and performing corrective actions on them to restore the service back to normal as fast as possible. Automation will help reduce downtime in that regard. And then the automation of complex tasks. So, things like the server maintenance task, for instance. Automation helps reduce the downtime, potential downtime, by automating a task like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this formula. And this is going to be a two-step formula. And the first variable is the hourly loss of revenues in U.S. dollars. This is the cost of an hour of downtime of your critical systems. And you're probably going to need input from your business people in order to get accurate numbers for your organization on this. But in either case, you need to consider both the loss of revenues and the loss of productivity. So that's our first variable. Then we multiply that by the average duration of system downtime in hours. This is information that you can typically glean from your ticketing system based on previous incident history, and you just need to try and estimate the average duration of a typical system downtime in your organization. And finally, you multiply that by the number of outages per year. And that yields the first element of our formula, which is yearly downtime costs. Then we go to step B and we take yearly downtime costs and we multiply that by the reduced outages that we experience as a percentage due to automation. Now, what's an appropriate number to use as a percentage here? Well, it's again, one of those your mileage may vary kind of things, but in our experience, the number could be anywhere from 10 to 30, 40, 50%. But you know what? Let's go ahead and be very conservative, and let's say that 10% is a typical number to use here. So let's run through an example. Oh, I'm sorry. That will altogether yield your yearly savings from reduction in downtime. Okay, let's walk through an example. So, hourly loss of revenues in U.S. dollars. Let's say $100,000. Is this an appropriate number for your organization? Maybe. Only you know for sure. Every organization is going to be different. But just one thing to keep in mind. Andrew Lerner, a research director at Gartner, earlier this year during the summertime, posted something regarding the cost of network downtime. And he stated on Gartner's website that based on industry surveys, the number that they typically cite is $5,600 per minute. $5,600 per minute, which extrapolates to well over $300,000 per hour. So Gartner is saying that on average, from the organizations they talked to that they've surveyed, the cost of the hourly loss in revenues in a typical organization for 1 hour is over $300,000. Again, that number may or may not be close to what's relevant for you in your organization. Your organization is different, but let's look at it also in the form of a range of numbers. Avaya also did a study, and they said that their survey and their study indicated that the range is anywhere from $140,000 to $540,000 per hour. So, again, this is very unique to every company, but for the purposes of this example, we're going to say $100,000 in hourly loss. We're going to multiply that by the average duration of system downtime, and for simplicity's sake, we're going to say 1 hour. And then we're going to multiply that by the number of outages per year, and we're going to say this happens once a month. So we'll say 12 outages per year. And that produces our yearly downtime costs of $1,200,000. So now we take that and plug it into step B as yearly downtime costs and multiply that by the reduced outages as a percentage thanks to automation. And as we said before, we're going to be very conservative, and we're going to use 10% as the amount that we think we can save thanks to IT process automation. And when we do the math, that equals a yearly savings of $120,000. Now, one more thing to consider. Recently, over the holidays, the Thanksgiving holidays, Best Buy experienced an outage that was very high profile, and it led to an hour and a half of downtime on their systems on Black Friday. Now, how much do you think an organization like Best Buy lost from an hour and a half of downtime on Black Friday? Quite a bit more than the numbers we're using in this example, that I can guarantee you. Okay, next, we're going to move on to calculating mean time to resolution savings, MTTR for shorthand. MTTR is a measure of how long, on average, it takes to restore a system to its operational state after a failure. it's commonly argued that 60% of MTTR is spent in the diagnosis phase. That is just finding the root cause of a problem. But there's also a large bulk of system failures that don't require extensive investigation, and they can be quickly identified and resolved with predefined actions. And so in those cases, IT process automation really helps reduce MTTR. So let's go ahead and dive in and show you how that's calculated. This is another one of those two-step formulas. So the first variable to consider in step A is the number of incidents per month. This is regardless of severity or priority, just calculate as a bulk number how many incidents per month your organization experiences. Then multiply that out by the average time to resolve each incident. Again, regardless of priority and regardless of what level technician was employed to remediate the problem. Then we take that and we figure out the average cost of personnel per hour to remediate the problem, remediate the incident, and we multiply that by 12 months. And that yields our yearly cost of incidents. Then we take that and plug that into the first variable in step B, yearly cost of incidents, and we multiply that out by the reduced time it takes to resolve those incidents as a percentage due to automation. So that will yield our yearly savings. So let's go ahead and walk through an example. Let's say that the number of incidents we experience per month is a round number of 100 incidents. And let's say that on average the time to resolve each incident is 1 hour. Some are more, some are less. On average it's 1 hour. And let's say that the cost of personnel per hour on average is $75, which, as we've discussed before, is probably a reasonable number to use in this industry. And then we multiply that by 12 months, and that will yield a yearly cost of incidents in this example of $90,000. And we take that and we plug it into step B as our yearly cost of incidents, and we multiply that by the reduced time to resolve as a percentage due to IT process automation. Now, again, your mileage may vary, but we've had very good luck with our customers using automation to radically reduce the time it takes to resolve these incidents. And I will tell you that as a very conservative number, you can use 50% as a variable here to estimate how much you're going to save in the reduction of these costs. And if you do the calculation there, that means our yearly savings will be $45,000. Okay, now this brings us to the soft ROI savings. Your ROI analysis typically has to have a hard dollar value attached to it, or it won't have any value. But still, IT process automation does deliver a range of soft benefits that can be difficult to measure, but many companies will claim are no less important. So you may not base your purchasing decision on soft benefits, but they definitely need to be considered. And they include things like knowledge management. So automating processes and procedures forces you to think and put down in writing the institutional knowledge that usually only resides in people's heads. Training gets reduced. The average time for training a level 1 support person is about 3 months before he or she can become productive, and automation and knowledge management will reduce this dramatically. Consistency and auditability. With IT process automation, you're establishing repeatable IT processes, and these processes can be improved over time and don't depend on individuals being present. So for auditing purposes, every automation action taken is recorded and documented, and that has a value. Human errors. When you automate processes, you're reducing manual work, and therefore you are reducing, or in some cases eliminating altogether, the errors that were typically occurring, particularly in long multi-step procedures. Those are completely eliminated. And finally, automation helps you comply with regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley, PCI, and others, and it helps accelerate the implementation of best practices frameworks like ITIL. Okay, so those are the 4 ROI formulas that we've developed or that we've identified, and now we need to total them all up. So initially, from task automation, the first formula, we saved $18,000. Then, in downtime reduction, we yielded a $120,000 ROI savings from IT process automation. The improvement in MTTR yielded another $45,000. And finally, the soft ROI generated something of value, but we're not sure exactly how to quantify it, and it's going to differ radically anyways from organization to organization. So we'll just kind of leave that out there. We'll, put a placeholder there for it, but we won't attach an actual value to it. And we take that, and we discover that our total savings from IT process automation is $183,000 in year one. But you know what? IT process automation is the gift that keeps on giving, or the tool that keeps on saving, because these savings, if they're true in year one, they're certainly also true in year two and in year three. And I could keep going on, but I ran out of chalkboard. And so if you just calculate 3 years worth of savings from this very simple IT process automation that we've done, that yields an ROI of over $500,000. That's a lot of ROI. Okay, so at this point, you may be wondering, well, gosh, what does an IT process automation tool look like? And so I just happen to have one available to show you, ours. This is iShare. And iShare includes an easy-to-use, intuitive drag-and-drop interface that requires no programming skills at all. All you need to do is have an understanding of the task that you're automating, and you can hit the ground running with iShare. Its simplicity helps drive the ROI savings because it makes it so easy to automate many, many processes. Just to quickly explain what you're looking at, here on the left is a toolbox populated with pre-built activities. You can think of these as Lego building blocks. Some of these activities are platform specific for Active Directory, Cisco, VMware, etc., and others are more generic. There's over 500 of these activities on the left, and you can think of them as pre-built encapsulated pieces of code to do a specific task, but they're basically encapsulated as an object that you drag and drop onto the visual workflow designer screen. And each one of these colored objects represents an activity that was dragged in from the left. You then assemble these Lego building block activities in the order that you want them to execute, including any conditional logic you want to incorporate into your process. Once you have everything assembled in the order that you want, this is an automated workflow. And then finally on the right, you can also get started simply by choosing a pre-built template from our built-in library. And again, these are oftentimes platform-specific. So we have Active Directory-specific workflows, Cisco-specific workflows, VMware-specific workflows, etc. And fun fact, each template included with the base product that you see here on the right, and there's 120 of them, each one was actually contributed to us by our customers who built, debugged, and streamlined them in real-world environments. So they're a great way for you to save time in automating your own operations, is to not reinvent the wheel and to use something that somebody else has already built and done the heavy lifting on. So that's all there is to it, right? Well, no, actually there's more. In fact, what happens next is I'd like to assign you a homework project. Yes, I actually said homework, but don't worry. It's no harder than what we've already done right here on our own presentation this morning. What I'd like to encourage everybody to do is to go to our website and download our free ebook on how to measure the ROI of IT process automation. It has everything that you've seen here in a very brief and concise format. So please go through it, download it, and go through it when you get the chance, and try applying the formulas to your own environment, and let's see what you come up with. Alternatively, you can simply outsource your homework to us. We will be happy to schedule a free, no-obligation consultation for you to help you quantify the return on investment of IT process automation in your specific environment. And when we do one of these consultations, we utilize our own comprehensive spreadsheets and ROI know-how to help you do things like quantify IT automation returns for each project and task, assess the realistic costs for the project implementation, and measure the payback period for your investment. So feel free to send me an email if you have any interest in doing that. And that is basically the conclusion of our webinar. So thank you, and if you do have any questions, once again, please send them to me. That is my email address, guy@ayehu.com, or you can always visit our website at www.ayehu.com, where we have a lot of other materials and things of interest you may find in evaluating and considering IT process automation for your organization. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.